Okay, what you got today? What's going on in the world? What's going on in the news? I know that you're
I haven't.
emotionally shocked, riveted, and otherwise really
Look, I've been talking
torn
about.
apart because of the Amazon special on the.
I watched the Amazon.
Which you never should have watched this. We
Why
both
not?
know this.
I've been invested in this case. And we've
And very
discussed
invested in this case, but it makes
I
you
wanted
very
to know.
emotional.
I thought we could talk about it.
Let's talk about
No,
it.
it has never made me emotional before.
So our review on the Amazon special
It's
is
really good.
very, very well
It's
done.
very well done. It's very
emotional.
At the end, it was emotional for me.
Right.
Something hit me a little. Mr. Chapin, Ethan's dad, was no, was
He was very sincere in his loss.
it was yeah.
That's got to be tough to see.
It was. Yeah.
Look, I'm not pretending to be that guy right there. It's just that
I've never been hurt.
we swim in knee deep in tragedy day in, day out. And so
I understand.
it just is where it is. Did you bring some tissues?
Oh yeah.
Because
I'm watching.
that's goodness.
Well, I didn't expect it either. But we talked about where to bury Ethan, and it's just sad. It's sad where do you bury a child? They only have these three, and they're all the same age. They're triplets.
Well, where are they from?
Idaho.
Don't you usually bury your kids where you're from, or you know?
Right. So he was looking around at plots and stuff, and just couldn't do it. And so Ethan's in their home, where he's safe, and he broke down, actually crying, and I down where he can talk to him, and when one of the parents dies, he'll be buried with the parent that whichever parent dies
Is
first.
he like cremate?
I didn't hear that part. They didn't know what to do. Cremate him, and spread his ashes or take.
Did they mummify him?
I did not stop. It's a hard thing. I don't. Of course, somehow. Just he goes, he talks to him, and he told me once, and I was touched. I thought, where he's safe.
Hmm.
You know.
It looks like we're going to have explicit rules in
Because I
I'm
can
going to have
see
to
his
redraft the
forehead.
will as to where I'm going.
Okay.
I am going under. You're sticking around.
Maybe it might be in it might be in the ground under, in the part. And I didn't understand that. He didn't elaborate. He just said at the home.
It's a tough situation, no matter
So-
who slides it for sure. But we
it-
weren't
yeah.
going to talk about that.
No.
Now all of a sudden we
Well,
are.
but it dropped. This Amazon Prime special came out today, and it was no one really knew other than the people who were friends with the people in the house.
Yeah.
One of the roommates called the girl, and she brought her boyfriend, and the boyfriend was the one that went in to check the house and found two, Ethan and the girl Xana,
Mm-hmm.
and they were already on the phone with 911, but he was the one that was able to. So he's never spoken to public before, and so he was on that special. We knew that, and the two sets of parents that had not been in media at all.
So this documentary is very well done.
I thought so. I did. I thought it was interesting. It was personal, and it didn't focus much. It showed facts of the case and different aspects, but it didn't. It informed about Brian Kohlberger, but it didn't sway.
Interesting how you get to see different
Yeah.
variations of grief. Different folks grieve in different ways.
Yeah.
And as people can tell, you and I both grieved in very different ways. I feel very bad for these families for sure. And
Me too.
I can't really empathize because I've never, lost a child. and never lost a child to something like this either. I mean, that's a pretty exclusive club.
I've been cried about this case. Not even in the beginning, the first episode, which...
You cry about a bird that gets run over by a car.
No, not anyway.
She cries about a
I
bird that gets
know.
run over by a car.
But in the beginning, when they were told, or when it was happening, it's sad, but I didn't.
So we decided it would be a
Yeah.
great time to podcast with you on high alert emotion.
Well, I didn't. I was listening to it while I was driving here, and it touched me as a parent. And so,
And there you go.
anyway, and I just start bawling like nothing out of no. It was interesting because parents had never been to one hearing. They decided not to attend any court whatsoever. No,
Yeah.
nor the trial. That won't bring him back.
There's a lot of victims that do that.
There's others that refuse to go in out of anger. You know what I mean? And others that feel that they represent, but they all, the parents and the two siblings who, as I said, are the triplets, so twins.
Mm-hmm.
None of them have attended any of the.
Okay, hold on, don't crack the water bottle.
Well, I don't really have a choice. My mouth is right here, even the microphone.
What else
I
were
need
we
to
going to
cut.
talk about?
So,
What do you have for it? You spend a lot of money on it. You just never use it. Remember how cute it is?
I have no.
And you can't get it unscrewed either.
It's hard to.
Right, it's like a walking, talking pickle jar.
It doesn't talk much, but
It doesn't get used much.
well, I thought we wanted to talk about and just other things that you can save your grievances for.
Okay, I
Frog
thought
in
we
my
were
pocket.
going to talk about me and the frog in my pocket, apparently.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about Diddy. I had some questions about the Diddy trial. Is that right?
Yeah.
What else?
Well, let's start
Well,
there.
this.
Well, we had the Reed thing. So we've got the kind of a trifecta. We've got Kohlberger. We've got Reed that we've talked about, Kerry Reed. And we've got Puff Diddy, Daddy Diddy, Combs there. And so that seems to be monopolizing quite a bit of quite a bit of the news cycle. And so, at the end of the day, you had some questions about Diddy that...
Well, I had some questions. Yes, I guess this does apply to all three cases. All three of those cases you mentioned. This tendency or this, I don't understand. So, I don't understand, just to globally address this, why a licensed prosecution case that represents a county, this is a government, charges people with things that don't apply. Or, like, for instance, P. Diddy, which is what you have said from the beginning, the racket, there isn't,
No one out there knows what I said from the beginning.
So why didn't you tell them?
When you read the charges to me, I didn't even know who Diddy really is. Couldn't find out he has clothing lines and cologne and
Music.
alcoholic beverages and music, and he thinks he's cool. Even when it's hot, he's cool. That kind of thing. Yo. So when you look at a case and you see its charge, there's certain cases that you look at and you see that there needs to be a dozen or so more names on the piece of paper when they're coming at you with a RICO statute. That's conspiring to break the law. It's a federal law, and it's conspiring. So let's just break it down. Let's say that I'm selling firearms illegally, and I've got who I buy it from, and then I have the supplier, then I have my trafficker, the person that's trafficking it, and then I have my seller. So I've got the person I buy it from, I have the person that brings the guns to me, and then I have the person that sells the guns. And so right there, I just named 4
That's a racketeering
entities. And let's just pretend that it's not just 4 dudes or 4 people. Let's pretend it's 4 groups.
Okay.
All of these set groups have names like Agnes, Jonathan, Jermaine, and Jack.
Okay.
Forget about that. Let's go into the story. So they have a lot of different names. So a RICO statute I've never seen one name on a RICO. So what, Diddy conspiring with Diddy? Or is he conspiring with the many different names he has? I don't know. Diddy's conspiring with Puffy, who's conspiring with Combs, who's conspiring with Sean, who's conspiring with John, who's conspiring with
Sean John.
whatever.
Sean
Anyway, is he
John.
just conspiring with himself and his multiple personalities? I don't know.
Well,
So-
that's the question.
So I figured him not to be good for the RICO thing, period.
So why would they charge it?
Okay, so that was a good question.
That was my only question I've had.
All right, she's throwing it at me because she's emotional right now.
No.
You see, I'm getting
You-
fastballs now.
No, you said from the beginning.
The state oftentimes
Hey, Dee.
overcharges.
You said he will not be found guilty on that. You said at the very beginning, and I thought, okay, I believe you, but at the same time, it's the federal government. Why would they charge him with something that just isn't? It's not even lawful for them to charge.
If you want a job done right, the government typically isn't your first choice.
Interesting.
And so you can tell this easily by looking at the state of California that's in disarray. But let's take an example here.
Okay.
And let's not pick on the easy, low-hanging fruit of their dumb mayor or their dumb governor. Let's just take a highway for example. They build toll roads in California. Those are privately run roads that you pay to get onto where you're not stuck in massive, terrible traffic from wherever to wherever. And they're all over in the downtown area, in Los Angeles County, Orange County, all that stuff. They have these toll roads. Well, the toll companies take about 2 weeks to carve hundreds of miles of asphalt, and their roads are beautiful, and they're perfect, and they're soft, and they're awesome, and they're done that fast. But we just had right here out front here in Arizona, but California's worse. We had 5 years of road construction to create half a lane and a median. So 5 years within an eighth of a mile. It was an eighth of a mile long. 5 years. So you want something done right? You think the government's your first choice, second choice, third choice, fifth choice, 150th choice?
So why should we trust any?
So it's tough. So we got to kind of balance this. Because now we have the justice system, and justice is supposed to be blind.
Yeah.
But the justice system is not blind. So you have somebody that's charging an individual, and they want this real gross individual that's done some really heinous things, but they've lost a ton of statutes. They've blown a ton of statutes by the time they get around to Diddy. A ton. And so it's like, okay, well, we can get them for a few things, but let's throw in RICO because of the sex component and how just egregious it was. And so they overcharge it. And so when we've had clients that have been involved in a very tragic situation that turned out to be an accident, but still it was a criminal scenario because of negligence it wasn't just negligent. It wasn't just an accident. There was some criminality involved. For example, one of our clients was running out the door with a handgun to meet what the would-be assailants at the front door with the baseball bats, in his mind anyway.
Right.
And girlfriend tries to stop him, and gun goes off, and she dies along with
The
her
baby
baby.
inside.
Right. That's a terrible situation. Well, that was a first-degree charge. First-degree murder charge. It never should have been a first-degree murder charge. And ultimately, that was not resolved in that manner. But it took us a little bit of work to get there. If you would have looked at the facts of those things, you would have known that never would have met the need, or that never would have met the standard of a first-degree murder charge. Never in a million years. But they still put it there because it gives them leverage to fall back. You can always go back from first degree to second degree, from second degree to manslaughter, from manslaughter to negligent homicide. You can always slide back.
Is that ethical, Dana?
I don't like poor charging.
Because
But ethics is an interesting question because it's perspective now. Because they can hang their hat on a grand jury. And so they can present the evidence with their spin on it.
right.
Because a grand jury doesn't have a defense attorney in there arguing back and forth. There's no debate.
Real jury.
It's a one-sided grand jury we're in. But we get these transcripts and we can look at these things and that's sometimes some of our most powerful tool to fight charges. Is to say, well, they don't have this, they don't have this, they don't have this, they don't have this, and we can remand it back to a grand jury with
Okay.
things like that.
So they charged, I guess P. Diddy was charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, which I'd ask you, what is that?
Yeah.
I think 2 counts of prostitution.
Racketeering is easy. It's in cahoots. You're in cahoots with other people. You're racketeering.
So in order for
Running
that to
an
be,
enterprise, an illegal enterprise.
in order for that to
Or
have
profit.
applied, there would have had to be co-defendants,
Oh yeah.
but there were not ever co-defendants,
Efficient.
and so
Or Puffy. Or Gomes.
then they
or
just
John.
there was a media smear,
Mhm.
and which I'm not saying he doesn't deserve that. Like I don't like what I saw. Something I don't think he's not my people. I just don't understand that I don't understand why they would go ahead with those charges, knowing. I mean, and a jury saw through it. Because because the defense didn't even call witnesses. Did they?
Didn't have to.
They just rested right off the bat. So the prosecution went, and
They
then
just didn't.
the defense.
They didn't meet the burden of proof. For the 2 big charges,
Right.
they did not meet the burden. And they were right. They did not meet the burden.
And
So,
mhm.
what oftentimes they're going for is when you have an ugly situation and they want character to convict. Okay?
Mhm.
So, the jury's not going to like Diddy. I didn't like what I saw
I don't like
about
him.
what
Yeah.
I saw with my own 2 eyes with him dragging that gal in the hotel room thingy with his little towel on. That looked pretty brutal to me, like he's kind of a
Yeah,
monster.
that was saved from 2007 until
Yeah.
right now.
It looked pretty
And
monstrous to me.
It was yeah.
Right, okay.
Yes.
So that painted a picture of who he kind of is, and that's what a jury's going to see. And so they might find him guilty for anything type thing. Oftentimes it does work. I mean, oftentimes a very
Yeah.
ugly scenario, or an ugly defendant, better put,
Yeah.
kind of wins the day. Because a jury just doesn't like
There's
that
taste
son.
they just
don't
can't.
like that son of a buck. Period. And so, oftentimes as the firm represents folks, some of the hardest things you do is teach how to be perceived in person as a defendant, because you'll have your defendant sitting there and the state's putting on their show, and they say some things that the defendant knows isn't true or knows is complete bogus. Anybody that's been in court, it doesn't even mean criminal.
Yeah.
It can even be a speeding ticket where you're like,
Did they do that like that?
oh yeah, it gets worse. And like hand gestures and then they start writing you notes and like looking at you. And all you want to do is stiff on them, put a burlap sack over them and say, let's just get a sitting actor to sit here and just look in earnest, best you can. It's like, because those nonverbal communications are pretty damning, but you will notice that all of the we get the drawings with the Diddy case, old school,
Right.
just drawings. There weren't pictures or anything like that. No hoopla, no videos
Yeah,
like
there's
we've seen in the other
no media,
cases.
no.
Right.
How come?
Some judges don't allow it.
So
I mean, it's not.
Karen Reed had like a full, and so
So
is
it's over.
her, yeah.
Right.
And that's
so
just like
some,
the judge.
yeah, some judges just won't allow it. And a federal court typically doesn't go for that.
Yeah.
And I prefer it that way myself, but
Yeah, I think these are state courts.
Yeah, the state courts
The other two.
typically allow it.
Okay.
There are times when they don't,
Yeah.
and there are times when you're trying to creep under the radar, so you don't create the stir.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that said,
But a state judge can also deny that.
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
And a federal judge can allow
yeah,
it.
mhm.
Okay.
And so at the end of the day, it's
So-
one of those things where Diddy just didn't do what he was charged of.
Mhm.
Like, he was convicted for things that appears
He
that
lied
he
to
did.
them. So he was
Appears.
convicted on actually not prosecution but transportation to
I think prostitution stuff, related stuff is
Yeah,
what
it
he
was
was convicted of.
like flying someone for the
state
purpose
lines or
of
something, yeah.
prosecute.
I thought it was
prosecution.
prostitution.
Something.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
prostitution
said
related.
2 charges, right?
Yeah,
Or 2.
I thought he was convicted on 2 prostitution.
Okay, so we talked about because he was facing possibly a lifetime in jail with those other 2 charges,
Oh, he's gonna get time served now,
and now
or maybe a little bit more, but not
and now
much.
like time served, like he could just walk out.
He may,
Essentially saying.
he may, and the judge doesn't like him either, but he might, because the sentence is far less than.
Well, Megyn Kelly had said, and I didn't see it myself, but Megyn Kelly had said that the judge said, "I bet you're right." So the judge, when the jury read the verdict,
Mhm.
said to him, "Oh, I bet you are ready to get out. Like, get your stuff, like get ready to go or something." And then some other judges
It's a young judge, and
Yes,
so
that's-
some of the more
Came back
veteran
and
judges probably took him into the woodshed and said, "What, the same, are
Yeah,
you saying,
not-
son?"
okay.
You know what I mean? It went
Yeah,
something
that's
like
what
that.
that's- Yeah.
Come on over here, there's a woodshed here.
Hmm.
We need to have us a conversation. Judges do speak ill-advised sometimes. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But I mean, this judge has been sitting there listening to the whole shooting match for quite some time, and I will say that from what I gathered from the drawings and things of that nature, that Diddy just stood there and didn't respond very much. Was very stoic,
Poised.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
poised, a good way to put it.
Stoic, yeah.
So the difference between these things, I mean, that you contrast it with the Karen Reed, where they, bring a bunch of charges against her, and she's found, she was, found innocent and acquitted of these charges, which it does appear that that was a good decision by that jury, a very well deliberated jury. It took twice to know it. And then you have Kohlberger that's resulting in a plea agreement, and as evidence mounts, as we kind of discussed, evidence mounts, because nothing was, you didn't have an admission. You didn't have a smoking gun. But as they read the factual basis on Kohlberger, and that's the factual basis is this is what he's pleading guilty to. I did this. These are the facts, factual basis as to why I'm pleading guilty. And he had to agree to those. Well, there was a lot in there that wasn't in.
Kohlberg had to agree with what the prosecution, that entire thing that the prosecution
Yes.
had said.
Read.
And he had to agree to that beforehand and to make this deal. Because he said guilty.
You read it beforehand
Yes.
with your client. Oftentimes, the defense makes the factual basis. Like I've never
what I thought.
not
Yeah.
that. And so I've been corrected. I've definitely been.
So if he didn't agree that he did one of those parts, like something he said, he would.
The judge at that time could withdraw, or the plea is withdrawn if they don't agree to the factual basis. So the state, when we here in Arizona, we read the factual basis, or we read it.
The defense.
We just
You have always.
yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if I haven't read one in years, but I'm not doing the representation thing for quite some time. But
yeah.
The
You
last
did.
time I was in there is I know the facts
Yeah.
backward and forward, and I know kind of the way I want them to read for future purposes. And so and usually the prosecutor and I are on terms wherein They have to agree. Yes, that's what happened, Judge. Okay, have to be
I didn't realize that.
guilty. And so in this case, the state wrote it, and they were very thorough with what they wrote. And there was plenty of things in there that were unknown to me, were unknown to most of the online professionals and the bloggers.
Most of the
Roggers.
I didn't have the heart to tell you, but some of that stuff we'd heard before.
Would you like this? You didn't have the heart to tell me that they had a traffic stop? That was huge.
I didn't realize how huge that was, but yes, he'd had 2.
Yeah, big deal.
But I don't know that I knew they were near the home.
Yeah,
I knew
it's like starting to stack up. That circumstantial stuff starts to stack. And once that starts to stack, it starts to really weigh heavy. And when you have a circumstantial case, that means you don't have a smoking gun, you don't have an admission, you don't have a slam dunk. Now, as the state read that factual basis and the things that Mr. Kohlberger agreed to, that was some pretty heavy evidence. The Amazon attempts to wash the purchases of the knives.
I didn't know that.
The purchase of the original knife, the repurchase of the knife. The Snake River did not allude. It basically said that's where your knife is.
The Snake River, what part was that?
It's in the factual basis when you read that the next morning before returning to the crime scene, which they have that, before returning to the crime scene, he stopped at where the Snake River and another river meets. It's got some pretty rivers over there in Idaho.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And it's a scenic area, and he spent an hour there. And they made sure that they mentioned that. That's where your weapon is.
I'm sure they've searched it.
There's no way you're ever going to get a knife out of the Snake River. Ever. In 1.5 million years. Moses would struggle.
How come? Because the current?
But yeah, rivers do this thing called move. You know what I'm saying?
So
like they're never at still. They're never still. Well, sometimes they look like they're still. But it's out under there. Come on. Serious. Anyway, these are some pretty good sized bodies of water, so they're moving along. So yeah, you're not going to find that. I mean, it might wash up on the shore and, okay, great, a K-bar knife that's been...
But there's not just that, there's clothes. There's a whole outfit, that covered a man to, full of blood.
So,
where's that?
Yeah, I would assume in the same spot. It could be burned, it could be in the snake as well.
Okay, anyway.
With a rock, with a sack of rocks.
Yeah.
And who knows? But what rivers do is they wash things.
Yeah, but still never been found. Is there a possibility they have more evidence than they've said?
Oh, sure. There's a possibility.
Like, for instance, when they say he drove by, they think he drove by the next morning. Again, like, for me, connecting to a cell tower and driving by a home is very different. And so they have a lot of surveillance and a lot of video from that time of the... But they haven't said, at least publicly, that we have surveillance, because those same cameras would have picked up him driving by at 9 a.m.
They have him driving out of the town, which I also didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
They had him driving out of the town from a store cam. And I thought, oh man. Okay, so the contacts of this dude with this immediate area were really mounting. And then the purchases of the K-bar knife, then now you've got the DNA, which they specified in the factual basis was a match to him. And that was like, ooh, there goes the party. There goes the party. So all of these things mounting, and plus that's pretty tough to overcome.
I guess, yeah, so then we're lucky, I guess, that he decided to plead guilty for whatever reason.
Well, you probably didn't want to get shot by a firing squad.
I wouldn't either.
I don't know. I think that's the way I want to go. Like, you sit there and count. Which one's right? Yeah, which one's the one that's got it? I hope they're a good aim. You don't want the one that's shaking to have the real load. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, snap, I missed.
So I'm like, it'd be awful.
Pretty terrible. Oh, crap, we got to do this over again.
I mean, there's people who really have to do that job.
No, I'm going to request a Marlboro and no, I don't want to be blindfolded.
Do they blindfold people?
Yeah, and I want to be the one that says fire. Why not?
Oh my gosh, you said let's
Ready?
not put this into the universe.
Aim. Hey, really aim, guys. Everybody got me?
Yeah,
All
right
right.
here. Okay.
All right. Center mass.
Oh my.
Fire.
This is okay. That's
I
terrible.
said
This is
fire.
terrible. This is terrible.
Anyway, so you've got three very different cases. So you have Diddy that lost his case. He was convicted. Okay.
Lost in one case?
He was convicted. Yeah, it was definitely a victory for him. But it was a loss. But it was a victory through a loss. Many times as attorneys, you do what I call, but I don't think anyone else calls it this, but I've called it this for many years. It's a mitigation hearing.
Okay.
It's a mitigation trial. So if we're just getting, if we call them true believers, it's a prosecutor that's just really just, entrenched in their opinion, and their opinion's off. It's incredibly harsh. And they're making you what's called a trial offer. Like, you go to trial and lose, it would be better than the offer they're making you. This does happen, okay, quite a bit. And it kind of makes it easy, but it kind of makes it hard on your client because they have to pay a lot more money in this circumstance. So you say, look, here's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's where we land no matter what if we take this plea. And here's where we would land should we go to trial, and it's like way less. But here's how much it's going to cost to get there. Many people can't pay that. And that's the sad part of this whole thing. So let's kind of put that aside because that's a topic for another day. In a perfect world, everybody's got a suitcase full of money and they can buy good representation. All right, that's a perfect world. And so we're living in that perfect world right now. And so they say, no, let's just go to trial. And so you go to trial, and it's not in hopes to win. It's in hopes to educate the sentencing arm of the state, not the jury. Such a wholly different dynamic, totally different. I almost would ignore back in the day the jury in its entirety.
Interesting.
I'm talking directly to the sentencer, who's the judge. Okay?
Okay.
Because I want something that's fair and that fits the client who did break the law, who is going to have a punishment, but I want it to fit the situation. And I want that sentencing individual to know exactly the situation.
Yeah.
Judges typically figure out what to say I'm doing fairly quickly. The weird part about this is sometimes you win it. And I thought, didn't see that coming, but I almost feel like the state had it coming. They overreached. It's
Yes. So we're back to that. Like, we're back to even if someone's guilty, someone's.
And I felt a little bit bad about that. I felt like crap. You just skated. But I don't. I mean, it is what it is. If they wouldn't have overreached and we would have been able to reach an agreement that was fair, then we wouldn't be having that moment where, oh, that dentist gets to go drive drunk again because this is his fourth one and he had to fight it because he's going to lose his license if he gets another DUI, because he's exhausted all his remedies as far as being a dentist goes. And so we go in there and bloody Hail Mary at the end of the trial, and the jury thinks you're all that in a bag of chips, and the guy walks, and like, oh my gosh.
With nothing, like acquitted.
Yeah.
Wow. But
That was
state
just a
had
simple one.
overreached-
That was just a funny one.
Yeah, I mean, but that's, so why did they do that? Do you think?
Human nature, if
They're greedy? Do you think it's a greed?
I don't believe it's a greed thing. I don't believe
Uneducated?
I don't believe it's an uneducated thing. I think it's a culture thing. I think it's straight up a culture thing. To where they're used to winning. They win. They have the better cards almost every time. And they have some pressure on them to win.
Like who?
They're supervisors. They want to climb the ladder like anybody else. They want to be big time.
So the supervisor should know
They call
that
them
maybe
bureau
this
chiefs.
isn't the right justice for this
A
situation.
good one, yes.
And so it's kind of their way of climbing the ladder, or getting making a career or name for themselves
Yeah.
on someone else's head. I
Yes.
think, to be.
Yeah, if you're the one that, prosecuted and convicted Diddy, you just did something.
Right.
If you're the one that prosecuted this monster in Idaho, you just did something.
Right.
If you're the one that, frankly, in Boston, there's a little bit of a different flavoring to there. We can go over that another pod because
I think it's still culture though.
That's an interestingly sick culture there, because you've got a sister case going on there with the same prosecutor, the same prosecutorial team,
Detective.
the same detective, the same county attorney. Whoa.
The same
It looks ugly. It's starting to look ugly. Now we're starting to get. Now we're the same partner. So now we're starting to look like we're getting.
No, it's a coroner.
Same coroner. Okay, so now it looks like we're getting to have a little bit of a. It's not coincidence when it keeps happening.
Right.
Right. We're stringing some consistency.
With another police officer.
And this is kind of nasty. So I don't remember the name of that case, but. Shannon.
Birchmore. I think Birchmore is the girl's name. The same officer the officer who's accused is not the same officer, or not.
He's one of them.
It's a different, officer with the same.
Canton Police, I believe it was.
Canton Police.
Canton Police, and so it's just.
And
you've got some more. You've got a little bit of dirty pool going on apparently in Canton, which.
So that's just corruption.
That's corruption.
Straight up.
That's just corruption. Yeah.
I mean,
and that does happen. I mean, it's happened here in our small towns. We've had, there was a real big hoopla that went on. I'd have to look it back up again. But there was a big hoopla years ago in Bisbee where, a sheriff ended up killed, some speculated, murdered, others, who knows. Then you've got just a few years back, a real big scandal that went on over there in Apache County in St. John's. And so anyway, look, where there's power and where there's, there can certainly be a little bit of a flex or overuse of that power. And there are those that overuse the power. I felt like for many years in Maricopa County, I felt like the vehicular unit, and specifically to Maricopa County, was asinine, was just diabolical.
Really?
I felt that way. I don't feel that way as much now. They're still not dandy to work with. Our attorneys definitely still have a big arm wrestle there. But it wasn't until we had a couple of really grisly death cases, and I mean really ugly ones, where, you've got skull matter all over the side of the rig, and you've got really just unfortunate circumstances that these people see more than us private defense guys saw back then. They're seeing it regularly, and so they're calloused. And so somebody that gets nabbed with an aggravated DUI but didn't hurt anybody, but was still driving.
Interesting.
He was still driving, and it rose to a felony level, and there's a handful of reasons why, and it does not have anything to do with whether or not they hurt anyone. Obviously, that changes if they hurt somebody. That then becomes aggravated assault with a deadly weapon or murder, murder two, so on and so forth.
Remember this other case I just started.
Oh yeah, she's eyeing other cases now.
That Stephen Jackson is going to represent this young man who Stephen Jackson is the one that represented Karen Reed.
Oh, he's famous then. He needs to write a book.
I'm just saying. So now he's going to represent this young man. Well, we probably shouldn't go into that because I'm not totally.
You're not emotionally ready for that one?
No, I'm just not totally educated about it, but I have the gist of it. But
yeah, that one's an interesting case.
It still seems like an overreach.
It seems like an overreach to me from what we know.
Yeah.
From what we know right now, it seems like a little bit of a jump. The speed is going to get him there on that one, but you're really kind of, you got a 20-year-old. It's really tough to say this out loud because there's a lot of people out there that will disagree with this. But I don't agree with celebrating the death of 4 people with the death of a 5th. And so the 5th would be the driver here, this young man.
Right.
All right. I just have a hard time with that logic. I don't like it. These unfortunate 4 darling girls that were hit and killed, I just don't believe the best way to memorialize them is to kill another. That is what you're doing. It does appear that it was an accident, a complete accident. If this kid could have it back, I'm sure he would take it back every day and will be taking it back every day of his life, not because of these consequences, but because of what transpired.
He's charged with 4 counts of murder,
Right.
not anything less.
Right.
He was not intoxicated in any way, and he has a clean driving record. So he's never been pulled for speed or excessive speed, anything like that before. According to what I saw, again, I don't know if that's, a reputable source, but charged with 4 counts of murder, despite the circumstances around the accident. Still, a 20-year-old. He was 20 at the time. He's 22 now.
So we've established that the state will and can overreach, and oftentimes doesn't.
Yeah.
And so it almost benefits the defendant when it's an overreach to that degree. Okay, when it starts to be called murder and they don't look at that boy and see a murderer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So Steve Jackson may be working with that in mind.
Sure.
No matter how you slice that banana.
Sure.
And so here we have an overreaching potential, and it does happen. Does it always happen? That's a good question. No, it does not always.
Does it?
Underreaching
Underreaching?
doesn't happen very often. That's a very big rarity, but it has an underreach. But usually little red flags go up for me, like, okay, what are they missing? What don't they have?
What don't they have?
And so, I mean, there is that logic on the other end of the stick, too, to where they have to charge it to where it's serious, but then they can make an offer that matches where you should be landing, which
So
I will assure most of our viewers that is most of the time what happens.
yeah, I've seen this here, or around here. A lot of plea deals being.
And sometimes it's sleepless nights and absolute huge effort that's put behind something that you kind of craft what ends up happening.
And there's other stories.
We've got some good ones there, but I mean it's a tough gig, but it's really fun to look at these folks that actually do take this opportunity to make this tragedy, this criminality, this issue a positive moving forward. And every once in a while we get to see that, and it's pretty fun to see it.
Yeah.
So
to recap, P. Diddy,
the date?
you think will likely serve less than a year and a half to 2 years.
It's going to be under 2 years, in my opinion.
At the very most.
Yeah.
And
then you've got time served.
Distinct possibility of time served. Oh, 2 years total?
Yeah, I don't know if they're
Including
gonna. I don't know if they're
the 1
gonna.
year that he's
I don't know if they're gonna tally the. Okay, so I think he's gonna be out in under 2 years, starting like now.
Okay.
Okay, that's my belief, my guess. Okay.
Okay.
He could walk tomorrow. The judge could say, "Time served. Peace out."
Okay.
So that's around his plea range is going. Excuse me, his sentencing range. So the amount of time, his sentencing range is going to be around, in my opinion. Like, if he served a year already, I can't see him doing more than 3, so I'd put him in there for another couple of years, and so on. And he'd do probably pretty well in prison. Jail is rough, but
That's what you keep saying. Yeah,
pretty
you keep
fun.
saying that.
Walk apart.
Really?
Man, he's a Diddy. He's cool, you know. Because the Puffy, I wonder what he'll change his name to then.
There's another one symptom. Gonna be clever right now. But now,
You never know.
you never know.